headphones?
Yeah.
They're right behind you. Yeah, probably that pair. Yeah, let me see what that looks like. Not that pair. Try the ones to the left of that. Yeah, those are better. Oh, you wear like a waist thing now?
Yeah, it's just to remind myself to stay straight for a little while. I don't have to, but it's like it's like a comfort thing. At the first month I had to. Like I could take it off now, but when I'm sitting and driving, it's helpful to have on.
Oh man, were you scared to take it off? Like your insides are gonna spill out or something? Like,
No.
I mean, like, oh my god, it's keeping me together.
It's like a waist cincher. So it's like it's shape everything. This shit was $600. They charged $600 for this. I was like, yeah, I'm gonna wear it as long as I want until I feel that it's doing what I need it to do.
Heck yeah!
Like I might as well get the there.
True story. Can you hear me? Hear yourself? All right, cool. Turn off the lead.
It's interesting because it's like you have to. But yeah, they're like, yeah, you don't have to wear it. The lady was like, oh, the doctor really doesn't care for you to wear it, but it's just driving and sitting for a long time because I was really restricted. Like I couldn't sleep on my stomach for the first month because the incision was healing.
Yeah.
And then what is it called? I was like only side and back sleeping. Yeah, but now I'm like I feel a lot better. But I still physical therapy.
Did they cut you open from the front and your back?
Just the front.
Just from the front?
Mm-hmm.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and they move everything all the way. And I was glad because I was like, oh, this might be painful again, like a C-section, because in a C-section they cut through the muscle, your abdomen muscle, and that's actually what's the most painful when it's healing. But this one they didn't do that, so they just move everything over and kind of clamp it out the way, and then get to expose the spine area.
Yeah, wow.
Real interesting. It's just like okay, like it's really playing Operation.
Yo, it's like it's a zombie movie.
Yeah,
I feel like
it's weird.
My guts were out, and then they put my guts back in.
Yeah, I don't even think they took them out. Like, that's what's, I think, weird about it all. I know they can, put gas in your body to blow you up and stuff, but I don't know if they did all that.
Do you have to have no food?
Yeah,
before?
It's like 12 hours of no eating before it was typical fasting, but then, afterwards, nothing in the front really hurt, which was interesting. Even the incision wasn't painful. It was just everything in the back, so... Yeah, it's interesting.
On your mic, can you just make sure this is tight on the bottom? Let's push that in. It might be. Yeah, perfect.
Is that better?
Yep.
Okay.
Coming in clear there. Have you ever gone camping?
Camping, I have. It's been a long time, and I'm not a camper.
Have you ever cleaned the animal to cook it?
I have not done that personally, but I know what the process looks like, and I've been in front of it. But yeah, no.
Would you do it? Could you do it?
I know how to fabricate a chicken after the feathers are already off and the head's cut off. I mean, I think I would do it if I had to as a means of living. But preference, no, I don't.
When I met you, you said you want to live off the grid. That's like the lifestyle, right? Like you got farm animals. One of them don't make it through the winter. You don't want to waste them, and you gotta clean them up.
Yeah, I mean, again, if we're in a stage of we have to, I'll do it. But I'm like, I don't intentionally want to have to clean out some animal guts and do that. Yeah, I seen that when I used to teach culinary in Wisconsin, I had my culinary students go to one of the agriculture programs where they actually kind of do a slaughterhouse thing, and you learn what that process looks like, and then they took them through the steps of fabricating chicken and, cutting that off and pulling out the feathers and all the, cleaning out the insides, all those things. And yeah, it was just really interesting. But I mean, I guess in the process of knowing how to do it and humane killing and things like that, you know how to do it. I know how to do it. But preferably no. I would leave that to somebody else to kill the animals. I'll do everything else though. If living off the grid.
I think it's a skill that like we gotta have to be able to do. You know, it's a convenience thing, right? Like everything we want, we can make ourselves or do ourselves, but we pay someone else to do it because it's more convenient.
Yeah, we definitely pay for convenience. Absolutely.
Yeah. So if you want a chair, you can make a chair. You go cut down the tree, get the nails. Smooth out the wood, make a chair, or you go down to IKEA, be like, hey, give me that chair. And I think maybe our skill sets are a little bit not as sharp as they've been in older generations where they knew how to make chairs and clean animals and all that.
Well, yeah, we talked about some of that stuff before. It kind of goes in line with America's view on instant gratification and even like why we have so much processed food and stuff. The commercialism of food, because it's an easier convenience and a faster way for us to consume it, but also for industries to build to make money off of it. But yeah, when it comes to, you know, hunters and gatherers by nature, like through our ancestry and things like that, like our kids today, even some of us adults, we wouldn't make it. We would not.
We would not make it
very far.
I don't know if my children would make it. They're real bougie, and real sheltered, and not about that life.
No, not at all.
They might be they might be gatherers.
Gatherers, yeah. They're not hunting.
They might gather some berries, and then I don't know if they're gonna know if they're poisonous or not too. Like they're gonna.
They didn't take the Boy Scouts or Girl Scouts. They don't know.
Like, don't eat those berries.
And they'll be like, well, why not? And I'm like, find out and see what happens. And then they just ask the questions instead of just listening.
Oh my God.
That's so funny. Like my supervisor in my 9 to 5, she's a hunter, and her husband go, and their kids, older kids, they go at least twice a year hunting. But when I came back to work the other day, she's like, look it. And she shows me the picture of her dead animals that they killed. And I'm just like, oh, okay. Like, but you know, that's like a whole thing. But I asked her, like, she has this like turkey that looks huge, right? Because it has all its feathers. And I'm like, how much turkey meat are you going to get out of that? She's like, oh, not that much. She's like, you probably get like 2 meals out of a turkey or something. But even to know, like, if we were at a place like that, like how much would you actually get out of one animal? And I think for someone like me who really like learned that through the culinary side, and you know, how many different cuts of beef can you get out of one cow, right? Depending on the size, or if you're familiar with Future Farmers of America, FFA, which are in high schools, they learn a lot about that, like raising animals, and this is why they have animal showing competitions, because the bigger they are, right, the more food it'll offer, but also the healthier they are, the healthier the food is for you when you're going to consume the animal. So it's really interesting. And I try to, again, we talked about this too, like the processed food in with our kids, and having my kids go through the grocery store. There's this app that you have to find it. There's this app. Let's see what it's called. It's called Yuka, Yuka, and has a carrot. And basically, you can scan any food item in a grocery store, or any like hair care, body care product, makeup, and scan the barcode, and it will pull up like the ingredients and like anything that's in it, and it'll rate it 0 to 100 from bad to good. The lower the number, right, the worse it is for you. The higher the number, the better it is for you. And so I keep trying to tell my kids, like, I don't want you eating Takis all day long. I don't want you eating, red food coloring, especially both my kids have ADHD, like that, like a whole, tie into it. But like, they're not good for you, and they don't get that. They just think, oh, she's just trying to not let us eat snacks. But it's like, no, they're not good for you. So I showed them this app. I'm like, look, use the app. And kids like to listen to other people instead of their parents or other things. And so I showed them this app. And so one day we go through the grocery store, and my son's like taking my phone, scanning everything. He's like, oh, we can't have that. We can't have that. He's like, oh, this one's a good one. But of course, in the stores, the good ones are the more expensive ones, which make it harder for us in our economy to consume healthier foods. So, but I kind of veered away from the camping question, but yeah.
No, it's all good. Like, how are you on your food journey? I know we had talked about maybe making some lifestyle changes. Are you doing any of that now or?
Yeah. Well, but for those that were not listening or are listening, I've had a surgery, and so I've been dealing with weight because for the spinal surgery I had to lose like 30 pounds before I actually had the surgery, and I don't think I told you that. So I was on a weight loss medication to help me lose weight, and so I really kind of leaned away from meats, and I started leaning away from meat in general, just because I didn't like the over process of it. And we know that there's a lot of synthetic foods and fake meats, and it's very antibiotic filled, and I don't want to eat that, GMOs, like all of that. But to be honest, like it's so hard to get away from those types of things, even growing our own food, because you can't even really get seeds that aren't genetically modified. Yeah. So it's really difficult. But I've been going more, plant-based. Dairy, I don't really drink dairy, and I finally got my kids off of it, which is great, drinking milk-wise. But you even got to be careful when you're drinking plant-based milk with the brands, because certain brands will put in oils, right? And then you're just drinking oil all day. You can't do that. So it's just being careful. But I definitely still eat my meat every once in a while and things like that. But I think for me, my arch nemesis is probably bread, because I love bread.
Yeah. What about sugar? You have sugar under control?
I think I have sugar under control, and sweets. I like them. I enjoy them. I think everything is in moderation. I think when people look at dieting, is they're like, oh, you got to cut it out completely. But your body does naturally need sugars. But it's, where are you getting it from? Are you getting it from fruits? Are you getting it from bread, because bread has sugar in it? Are you getting it from, your sweets? I think for me, my biggest thing is my coffee. So you got to think, like, when I first...
You're in here with a Starbucks coffee.
Every time. Well, no, not today. I don't have Starbucks today. And I know I shouldn't be drinking Starbucks. Don't hate me, guys. But it's just the consistency. We talk about that, right? It's like having, like, you know what you want. And I know when I go to Starbucks and I order it a specific way, it's supposed to be what I want it to be like. And so I go to this place called Hava Java, which is close to my house. And so trying different places. But, originally, like, when I would go to Starbucks before I was on a kick of watching my sugar, I'd just tell them, I'll take my caramel macchiato, right? And if anybody knows about that, they put like 6 pumps of sugar syrup in it, plus all the milk, and then the coffee, and then all the whipped cream, and then the extra caramel. It's so good, right? And it tastes like great. It's like you're drinking ice cream.
I want one right now.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Someone can give me one.
and then but that's like that original drink, which could be like 1,500 calories and tons of sugar, right? Drinking your calories, a lot of sugar. And what people don't realize is every 4 grams of sugar is 1 teaspoon. Okay, so 4 grams is equated to 1 teaspoon of sugar. So when you're drinking something that has, 4, 8, 12, so it could like 20 grams of sugar or higher, you're really only supposed to eat or drink things that are 16 grams or lower in sugar. Mm-hmm. And when you're looking at the grams wise, because that's under 5 teaspoons of sugar per serving. So just being careful. And then you got to think small versus large drinks too, in moderating. And so when I really became cognizant of losing weight and watching sugar, alcohol is the biggest one, cutting out wine. I was a big wine drinker, but wine is full of sugar. You could drink like, straight up like tequila or vodka or something, but mixing it, right, that's when you're putting all those sugars back in. But now when I order my drinks, especially at Starbucks, I'm like, okay, I want a shaken espresso, but I only want 2 pumps of this syrup, 2 pumps of that syrup, and I want the plant-based milk. And then you're really taking that 1,500 calorie drink maybe down to like 600 calories because you're cutting so much things out of it. So I think the moderation part has been helpful for me, and limiting alcohol drinking and stuff like that was helpful.
Excellent. And I think that you're practicing this mindfulness about your body and put it in your body. Mm-hmm. That's what I'm on to as well. My journey is like cutting out, especially red meat. Mm-hmm. That's what I'm starting with. So I don't need a whole lot of it, but just getting rid of it altogether. Yeah. Then I'm gonna start limiting chicken. And I don't even know what it is about meat, but I just know I feel better with less of it.
Yeah.
And then I'm just going to use it kind of as like a supplement. Like I got to eat some chicken this month or something.
Yeah.
Just to keep my whatever, my protein. And that's great. You recently had a surgery. Do you want to talk about that?
Yeah, we can talk about it.
Okay.
I've shared it with a lot of people.
Okay, yeah. I mean, if you want to talk about that experience and maybe how recovery, I didn't know what to expect, honestly, when you pulled up. That's why when I saw your car there, I was like, should I run out there to help her? Like, I didn't know. I didn't know what your situation was when you got here. Like, hop on my back. I'll carry you here in the podcast.
Yeah.
So your podcast, but
I'll explain. Sure. So I am almost 6 weeks post-surgery from what's called an anterior spinal fusion. So my L5, which is your lumbar, and my S1, which is your sacrum, I had degenerative disc. So if anybody knows about degenerative disc disease, it's basically your discs in your spine. That is the cushion which allows you to move around. Mine was wearing out, and it was degenerating basically. And I learned back in 2012 that I had degenerative disc. After I had my daughter, I had really bad sciatica. I went to a chiropractor who did x-rays before. Some chiropractors do x-rays before, and some just, if you go to a basic one, they'll just do whatever adjustments. But it's better to go to ones that actually does an x-ray, because they see what your body looks like and then can adjust you appropriately.
Yeah.
Versus one that just does what they know. So this person back in 2012 was like, hey, just be careful and watch out for this disc. It looks like you have degenerative disc in this area. Just keep an eye on it. And basically, degenerative disc is hereditary, or it just happens naturally. And I actually learned from my doctors too that a lot of people have it, and it doesn't really affect them. And so it's just over time it can wear and tear. And so for me and my age, and the how bad it was, my doctors are like, yeah, it's kind of very bad for only being 34 years old. And so he's like, you're probably gonna have to have surgery, so just keep an eye, all these things. So fast forward, and this is kind of where my problems happened. In 2022, I was skating with a group of kids at summer camp. And one of the students fell on the floor, and I went to help him and pick him up off the floor, but I fell backwards and I landed right on my tailbone. And I fractured my tailbone, which was very painful, but that triggered a bulge in that same disc because it was already very thin, and it basically bulged into my spine and caused a lot of back pain. So I was in pain for about a year in my back, plus the tailbone. And you have to, anybody that's damaged your tailbone knows that you can't sit straight up for a while. So the way I was sitting was really impacting my back. And then fast forward a year, I went to the doctor and I was like, okay, I'm having all these issues. This is what happened.
Wait. A year? It was did you go to the doctor after you fell on your tailbone?
So after I fell on my tailbone, there's nothing you could do about a tailbone fracture. To not be TMI, but there is an internal and an external manipulations you can do on a tailbone fracture. But a lot of it, the pain is the ligaments that are around the tailbone.
External and what?
Yeah.
Is that massage stuff?
Yeah. Yeah.
Can you
So I don't mind sharing. I don't mind. I'm an educator. I'll be educational. So for men, is say if you have a tailbone fracture, the internal would be through your anus and then manipulating the muscle around the tailbone.
Okay.
For women, it's vaginally.
Okay.
Or it could be anally, but whatever. But it's usually vaginally, just because of the placement of where the tailbone is within your body. And,
question, teacher.
Yes.
Are you saying that you're able to feel your tailbone through that way?
Yes.
Oh, okay. And then you massage it that way through there.
Yes, it's the ligaments around. Yes.
I did not know that.
So you might have to go to. I'm not a sex educator, but I don't have no diagrams with me today to explain what that means. It is kind of you have to be comfortable with that and things like that. But it really is the only way. Once you break a bone, just like any other bone in your body, you can't do anything about that but let it heal. And so your tailbone, it's kind of like this, like a hook. But for me, when I fell, mine went up like this, and it healed that way. But all the ligaments and the muscles that are still around, if you clench your butt cheeks together and you feel it tight and that's those muscles. And so when you're injured down there,
I just did that. I just clutched my butt cheeks.
Yeah. I know everybody is like, when you're injured down there, it like you can't sit on it, like everything hurts. And it was so funny. It's like when I first did it, when I fell, I was like, I definitely like, oh, I did something. And then it wasn't until the bus ride back to the school where I'm like, oh, I really did something. Yeah. And then I went, and I did wait like about a week before I went into the doctor, because I'm like, okay, I probably bruised it. And I've heard people that done this before, and there's nothing you can really do. So it's just like, okay, how do you ice your tailbone? Get a frozen burrito, wrap it up.
What are we?
You're not inserting it. Oh my gosh, just put it between your butt crack, and you get a frozen burrito. Oh my gosh, I'll be made fun of this forever. It's okay. I showed my kids. I'm like, they're like, what are you doing? I was like, I have to ice it. It hurts so bad.
Let me warm this burrito.
Yeah. I'm like, don't eat this one. You put it back in the fridge and save it for later. But you got to put it in, wrap it up somehow. But it's so funny. So, oh my gosh, I just got so far away from that. But anyways, but yeah, so when you go to physical therapy for that, they have these really interesting, like, heavy weights that they can roll, and they're trying to release basically the muscle on the outside for external, but then on the inside too. Okay. And so it is basically like a finger manipulation where they're just trying to stretch the ligaments internally away from the tailbone area, so it gives some release and relaxation, because that's really what causes most of the pain. Because it's like your body's natural reaction to hurting yourself. It's those muscles like tense up really tight, and so while it's healing, it'll stay tight, and you just need to get it to kind of calm down. So
question, I want to call you doctor. Question, so are you seeing a therapist or like a physical therapist for like the massaging of the tailbone?
Yeah.
And do they give you instructions on like what you can do at home?
Yeah. So I'm not currently in it, but I was. So before my surgery, and that's the thing is my specific medical issues are very unique because I had the degenerative disc already happening and the sciatica, which, if anybody knows, that's that sharp nerve pain going down your leg and up your back. So I had all of that going, and then I fractured my tailbone. So then you have that's happening. So for me, it was really uncomfortable because it's like, okay, I have this back problem, which I started going to regular therapy. So before you can even get surgery on anything, they make you do all of the different things, and I'll explain a couple other things. But, I had to do therapy both for the degenerative disc and the pain that I was having in my back at the same time as the physical therapy for my tailbone, because they're trying to combat. But the thing is the therapy contradicted each other. Yeah. The internal manipulation in certain things for the tailbone hurt my back, and then me doing things for my back hurt my tailbone. So it was really kind of an interesting thing, but they don't really necessarily teach you how to do an internal therapy for.
Yeah, that's my question. So like, is a therapist saying like, hey, this is the way at home?
They're not going to tell you to.
If you do this too long, you're playing with yourself.
Yes.
So.
Oh my gosh, yeah, no, and it's so interesting because then people will be like, well, can you have sex and blah blah. Like, it's actually interesting because it's like you can, but it could be painful unless you have a person that knows how to be careful, and it's just kind of like you're learning through that whole process. It's definitely interesting. Yeah. But no, they don't teach you that. They do teach you some things for like the external side, just like any physical therapist will do. And I didn't have to do too many of the internal. I just did, I think, about 3 of them. But again, it's just like any female that sees an OBGYN and kind of checking you out in there. It's a little awkward at first because you're like, okay, like, it's like a little borderline, like, okay, or what are we doing? So you just have to be comfortable with that. But I think, it was really helpful. Yeah. And then, so kind of fast forwarding, throughout that.
Question. Yes. Sorry. Yes. What are the external things? Is that like massages?
Yeah. So kind of like buttocks, like kind of by your butt crack and things like that. You have all those muscles that you can feel like on the outside of your anus and like all those areas. So that's really kind of just massaging the outer parts at least for the tailbone. And then,
are you doing it, or are you seeing like someone else to do it?
Someone like the same person that did the internal, or your partner, you can show them like how to help you. But it really is just, again, it's just to release that muscle and things like that. And everybody's different with their pain tolerance too. So just depending on like how much pain you're in and things like that. So they can show you a little.
Is it like painful to the touch as you like put pressure there?
At first it was. And I didn't actually start getting tailbone. And this is my fault. So again, when I fractured it, I waited a week to go, and they were like, yeah, you fractured it, just ice and whatever. And I kind of just let it ride its course until I started experiencing the back issue. And this is when I really found out, like, yeah, you're really messed up back there. So that's when it was almost a year later when they were like, okay, let's do therapy for both. So I was still like pretty sore, and sitting like straight up was always kind of painful. Again, like if you've like broken your wrist or your ankle or anything, like as much when you're putting a lot of pressure on that's going to get sore after a while.
Yeah.
And so as much driving as I do and sitting, because I sit behind the desk on a computer a lot, it's like kind of painful. So you have to like, be a granny with the donut pillow and stuff all the time. So it could be, yeah.
Did your, so you had degenerative issues before you had the injury. Did the degenerative issues, are they still there? Do you still have them?
So not anymore post surgery.
This is a blessing.
Yeah.
It ended up being a blessing.
Yeah. So I only had the degenerative disc, and everybody, again, is different. So all my other discs in my spine were fine except for that one between my lumbar and my sacrum. And again, that's the part where most of your body is placing weight on anyways. And a lot of people do get degenerative disc in that area just because you're sitting, especially those that sit a lot, or if they're in a car driving a lot, you put a lot of pressure from sitting posture in that area, and it kind of just wears out over time. Mine got so bad where it was bone to bone, and everything was on my left side where I was feeling. So I had, when I fell, the disc was bulging into my nerve, the same disc that was already wearing out, right? And it's only that one. So I was eventually like right a couple weeks before my surgery, like feeling like bone on bone rubbing, like sandpaper. It feels really weird, and it's really painful. And then when I finally, made that decision, because they told me last year that I could have it, and I was like, no, I'm not doing this surgery. Like, I don't want to do this surgery. It's pretty intense. And so I kind of held it off again, but then I was in just so much pain, like every day. And then the other process too that you have to go through for if you're covered by insurance is they have to go through all the protocols to get rid of your pain before you go to a major surgery. So for me, that looked like a lot of physical therapy. I probably had about 20 to 30, I don't recall, physical therapy sessions. But then I also had steroid injections. I had trigger point injections that are to help for your muscle. Those didn't work. I had my nerves burned, which is called a radio frequency ablation. So I had my nerves basically sonic waved, burned. They do an insert through your back and burn these endings that are supposed to get rid of the pain. I did that in 4 places. That didn't work. Wow. So then they were like, okay, yeah, now you're cleared for surgery because you did all of these things. And that was probably a total of 16 injections of some sort plus the ablation, and none of that works. So they're like, okay, you're approved. Now the insurance like, yeah, okay, now you can have your surgery now that we're done playing with you like a voodoo doll. And that's kind of really how I felt. After that point, that nerve ablation like really kind of gave me PTSD. I was like, oh, I don't want to get stabbed with anything else. And so, going forward with the surgery was the next step.
And the success rate of the surgery is a high success rate, or did they?
50-50.
That's what they said? It was 50-50?
Yes.
50-50 chance.
50-50 chance. So, yes. So certain surgeries, it can give you a higher success rate over anything. But this one, dealing with the spine, and because there's so many different things that are in place. Oh, and on top of the nerve issues and the the spinal issues, I also have arthritis in the same area.
Yeah.
So that's why they gave me the nerve ablation, because they're like, maybe it's because you have arthritis in that area, that's what's causing the pain. And so they have all these things, right? And then they say, oh, it's 50-50. But when you also have to look at your doctor and like look at the ratings for the doctor. And I was fortunate, like the one that I saw, I didn't really care for the bedside manner, as we talked about, but his ratings, like 360 patients, gave him almost 5 stars. Like, I feel better after my surgery. Like, yeah, I feel like maybe 40 to 60% better and things like that. And of course, dealing with your spine, like nothing is going to be 100%, because for me now I have metal in my body and I have something foreign in my body where your body has to get used to that, and basically relearn a little bit in body movement and stuff. But what I feel now, just to explain, so with my my spinal fusion, is I had the disc removed through the front. So anterior is the front of your body. Mm-hmm. That's the position. So they move all your organs out of the way and expose the spine. I had a cardiovascular surgeon that moved all the veins and arteries out of the way to limit blood loss. And then, of course, you have an anesthesiologist that's there to support, make sure you're asleep. I was telling Ruben that I am pretty sure I woke up at one point during my surgery, because I recall just seeing things and feeling things. But then your main surgeon, goes in and takes out that degenerative disc, and then they place what's called a cage and screws into your body, and they kind of put that all in and close you all back up.
They zip you right back up.
Zip you back up.
You might have been astral projecting.
Probably.
You know what
something.
I mean? Just keeping an eye on things.
Yeah.
Sure no one's getting weird with you.
Yeah.
Wow, that's tremendous to get through all of that. Mm-hmm. Like, even the leading up to, it's a good thing that they cross all those T's and dots and stuff just to make sure you're appropriate for it.
Yeah.
Because you don't want to do something that, hey, if you would have just did this simple thing, we could have fixed it for you. Yeah. So it's good that you went through that process, but at least now, it sounds like your degenerative stuff is kind of slowed down because they removed it. Is that correct?
Yes. So I didn't have, and it's interesting because if anybody's weird like me, you get all of the post-op like descriptions. Like even with my 2 children and in my C-sections, they have to write up like the whole procedure, what they did from start to end. Yeah. And just like your after summary notes when you go in for a cold, like they do that for a surgery. They tell you step by step what they did. Oh, and so I got the follow-up, the post-op summary, and I was kind of reading through it, and I was like, oh, that's what they did. This is what they did. So it's really interesting to see that. So, but they noted in there, like, all the rest of my spine, everything looked good. Like, I didn't have any, and you can even tell from, like, x-rays and my MRIs that there's no issues with any other parts of my spine, which is great. So it was all just in that area. And so with the fusion, and people are like, oh, what's the difference between a fusion and a replacement, a disc replacement? So usually in your neck or in the upper part of your thoracic spine, you would get a replacement disc that will allow you that movement and bending and things like that. Yeah. But because mine is so low in my body, it doesn't really bend that much anyways. It's not necessary to have it replaced. So they do a fusion where they'll put in the insert of this cage in the middle of that area, they will put a bone growth serum. Yeah. Or they do bone grafts where they take a piece of your bone to put inside of the middle, and it encourages bone to grow around that metal to fuse those 2 bones together. And then that way they won't move. So that's like a 3-month process for that whole thing to happen. So I don't have the degeneration anymore of that disc because that disc is gone. And now I'll have that one bone. And it's interesting because I feel kind of like bubbly feelings like in my back. Like you're like, oh yeah, something's like occurring right now. It's really weird.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yo, thank you for sharing.
Yeah.
I mean, now your TSA's worst nightmare.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? And you're a bionic woman. Yes. You know what I mean? You got this new gear in your body.
$4,500 piece of equipment in my body. If I ever die, someone take it out. Black market.
Yo, black market pieces. Yo, and you're an inch taller now.
And yes, I'm back to my regular height, which is great. It's so funny that you recognize that, because that's the first thing I recognize, like bending over like the sink and stuff. I was like, oh wow, I'm taller. Like it's really interesting. Like I'm back to my normal height. Then you don't realize when you have a collapsed spine that's happening. And this is why older people get shorter as they age.
Yeah,
it's because it is a lot to do with degeneration, because your discs are actually what give you the height. And yeah, so it's interesting for sure.
Oh wow. So you're recovering now, you're getting back into work. I'm sure you're going to be getting back into your community stuff and doing events and things like that. I know you got some things going on. You want to talk about some of those things that you're working on?
Yes. So having, the downtime from my 9-to-5 was really helpful for me to kind of really gear back up. Like, what do I want to do for my personal podcasting? I'm still on a break with that. I was glad to, and I don't know if you know, but I had 31 episodes from last year, which is great for me as being a one-man show, right? Doing stuff myself. Of course, with your help, thank you. You showed me so much along the way the last year and a half that we've been working together. And so that I've been doing that. I've been doing some, adjustments within my personal business, which is Virtuoso Education Consulting Services, working with some new people. And so I really had a chance to, I've really been branding and networking myself a lot. And then with this 6 weeks of downtime that I had off of my job, I really have been able to prepare for my next event, which I have coming up that I would love to share about. So as you're aware, I'm, because of my different roles within the community and my 9-to-5, I'm connected with a lot of like educational entities, a lot of organizations. And I was fortunate, after moving here and just getting myself involved with the community, I've met so many different people, which is so fun for me. And I've always thought of myself as like a service person, and really just catering to the youth and the families and education. That's where my passion lies. And so I've been brainstorming like a youth event for a long time on some things, and I kind of just was like, okay, we're going to plan this, and this is what it's going to be. And I was talking to different community partners, and they're like, oh yeah, we want to do this too, and we want to do this, and we want to do this. And so I'm like, why don't we all just do it together?
Yeah.
So I am definitely one, when it comes to our children and our youth, everything else in our world is very like political, and it's very territorial, especially when we're talking about between organizations and between like different groups of people. But at the end of the day, I think when it comes to our children and our youth, like we have to put all of those things to the side and really put our best foot forward for these kids, because we talked about this about technology, but I'm so like cringing over technology right now and how impactful it is on our kids. And so to really get them out of that having to be sucked into their phones or tablets or TV, and get them more in a creative mindset. And also on the flip side, remembering that literacy is really important in their education, and just in their lives in general, and having to have those skills to read, because that impacts everything that they do. So on the educator side, so I will explain my event. So my event is the Youth Entrepreneurs Marketplace and Community Collective Fair. This will be happening on Sunday, November 17th, 2024, from 1 to 4 p.m. And this is in collaboration with First Institutional Baptist Church, which is here in Phoenix, as well as Marley's Lemonade, which Marley is so great. She's wonderful. If anybody has ever met Marley and her parents, they call Marley a kidpreneur. So like entrepreneur, but a kidpreneur. But Marley, she's had a lemonade stand for a while. They go to different events all the time. And Marley's mom, Linnea, had told me, she's like, oh yeah, we've been doing great. Like, we're going to get a food truck. And I was like, oh, that's awesome. Like, you guys are doing so well to branding yourself that now you have the funds to get a food truck. And what I love, and giving a shout out to Marley's parents, is that, and I learned from them that all the money, even though the parents, upfronted that money to start this business, this child is only in second grade. And she now she is like a business person. She gets grant money. She gets, all of these things to support her business, and people are starting to recognize her. But the parents put all of her funding into, for scholarships and money and sharing with the community. But for her to be successful as an adult, which I think is a very great model to look after, and it's very inspirational, because it's like, dang, like they like, what am I doing with my kids? Like, so it very much makes me like think about that a lot. So on the entrepreneur side, just because she's so young, and she's doing so much already within the community and very recognized, she's also an author, with like little kids books and things like that.
Second grader is an author?
Yes. Yes.
The parents are really like helping drive these projects with her.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
But she's very, like, for her age, she's very I would say mature and very wise, and she's very thoughtful too. So she wants to give back to the community. She wants to do a lot of things. So at this event is a lot, a percentage of the proceeds that are gained from the events is going towards her business. But she's also giving back by offering a scholarship and awards to some other entrepreneurs in a separate event that she wants to introduce at this event, which is great, to the youth entrepreneurs, because she was fortunate to be in something similar, and she wants to be able to offer and give back, which is amazing.
Yeah, that's incredible. Mm-hmm.
And then First Institutional Baptist Church, partnered on the side of the entrepreneur marketplace as well, because the youth pastor there has his youth group that he works with, and their goal was to focus on entrepreneurship and get that into the hands of these kids that they're working with within the church. And then FIBC, is very prominent in the community as well, downtown Phoenix. They do a lot of events and work with a lot of different organizations as well. So they definitely...
What was that called again?
First Institutional Baptist Church.
Oh, you call it FIBC.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, First Institutional. Okay.
Yes. So they go by, FIBC. So that's at 1141 East Jefferson Street in Phoenix, if anybody needs that address. And then, so...
What time does it start?
1 o'clock. So
1 o'clock on November 17th?
Yes, it's a Sunday. So that was intentional, because I know Sundays are hard for some people, especially if they're in church, but we try to do it a little bit later. But what's nice about FIBC is they have a great congregation. And so we intentionally scheduled it for when that church group gets out, they can come right into the event. And everybody's going to be there and be ready. And then from my side as an educator, I am offering a early childhood education workshop for parents for like the birth to 5 age group on the importance of literacy and phonics for our young kids. So I'll be offering that. And then some other people to expect at this event. We have Single Fathers Network. Shout out to Single Fathers Network, that they definitely help support this event, and they're going to be there. Skate 48, which is boards in our neighborhood. They're going to be there donating some skateboards, some repurposed bikes, some toys. We have For the Love Foundation will be supporting us. Song Lab Live will be there helping us out. And then we do have Wealth for Generations, which is another podcast group. They'll be there doing live podcasting. Up to It Foundation, which is a father-son duo that talk about building relationships and the importance of, family and having hard conversations with our kids. So they'll just be giving like a quick 15-minute pep talk conversation with those that are in the group. And then Afro Scouts in Base, Arizona will be there to highlight their youth entrepreneur programs that they have upcoming for the youth and their groups, and some other things. We have some painters there. We have, and a lot of youth entrepreneurs that are there signed up as well. So we have a face painter. We have one that's going to do a little photo booth. We have some food vendors as well. And then, and then the other big part of it, and I know it sounds like so much into one, you're probably like, you guys sound all over the place. It's intentional though, I promise, is community organizations like Single Fathers Network. But we do have more that are coming that have programming and services for families and youth. Okay. So if they're supporting for any, if you're a physician and you're looking for more clients, a therapist, that's under the families and services. But if like you have a dance team, if you have a sports club, an after school program, like those types, Ashe Flow Studios will be there. Brother James with his martial arts. So just demonstrating like those types of things that they have in the community. And it's more to get these kids out of the technology and into physical activity, but also keeping their mind creative with entrepreneurship, and really focusing on that side of.
That's so amazing and awesome that you're putting this together. Couple questions.
Yes.
What is the name of the event again?
It's a big name. Sorry. I'm like, I don't know what to call this. We're going to call it all of this. Again, this is a collaboration. So this is the Youth Entrepreneurs and Community Collective Fair. Okay. And so again, the Youth Entrepreneur Marketplace, again, that's the highlight and focus on the youth, and let them showcase what items that they have to sell. It's either food, product, or authors. And then we have the Community Collective, which are those adult vendors that will be there that have organizations and programming for youth.
That's beautiful. And are you looking for more youth vendors or adult vendors?
Both. Definitely both. So definitely looking for both vendors. And I have a Bitly link I'll have to send to you to put on. But if we are greatly being promoted on a lot of web pages, you can find us on Eventbrite. Local First has us up there on the calendar. Downtown Phoenix has us up there, Phoenix Soul. So you'll see it on the November 17th calendars for all of those events. And then that Bitly link is there for us for you guys to sign up to join. And I do also want to give a big shout out to Shamira Hill, who also is a local author and provider in the community. And she is also offering her storytelling and entrepreneurship workshop with us from 3 to 3:45, and then that's a separate registration. So she is an author that focuses on social emotional health and creativity for kids, and so she's going to do a mini workshop for free and then share her resources as well. So yes, we still have space for more to join us, a couple more room, but we are looking for anybody, for donations. A few sponsorship needs are still there for us to, make sure we have everything in place for the community. But I really want to do a really great job with this because, I'm a little bit of a prideful person, and I love doing things with other organizations, but this is a chance for me to do this under my own business as an event planner. And so I'm really making sure that I hit all the marks with this one. And so if anybody wants to join or, just be there, be present, or just donate your time for volunteering or give a gift basket for a raffle table, we have all of those opportunities available.
That's fantastic. I definitely am going to promote this and let people know about it. Okay. Looking forward to coming there, helping with the pictures and the video.
Yes.
And then my son, he is getting into entrepreneurship. He's 8 years old. We'll drive by a yard sale, and he wants to go to the yard sale and see what's there so he can go resell it.
Yes.
And he's always trying to sell me his stuff. So,
you ever see a pawn shop?
I might blow his mind. Take him to a pawn shop.
Yes.
I have not taken him there yet. I'm gonna have to do that now.
That's a great.
He likes Five and Below.
I love Five.
All the dollar store type places. Yeah, that's his jam. But it's awesome that you're getting into youth entrepreneurship and then just real community building. Just providing these opportunities for these different nonprofits and institutions to come together and do something meaningful. So that's really dope. Is it an indoor or outdoor event?
So it is indoor. Everything is indoor except for the food vendors that we will have. Marley is with her truck. She'll be outside. And then I'll have two to three food vendors also there to make sure we have food.
Marley, the second grade lemonade salesperson, has a truck?
Yes, that's the point of the event. Yes, Marley's Lemonade. She is getting her food truck, and I believe, if I'm not mistaken, this will be the first event they're gonna be debuting their truck.
Yeah. Yes. Okay. Yo, that's incredible. Yes. I love stories like that. And it's gonna be November 17th, starting at 1 p.m. at FIBC.
Yes.
FIBC. First Institutional Baptist Church.
Downtown Phoenix, yes.
Downtown Phoenix, okay.
Yes.
That's amazing. I'm looking forward to going to that. Like, even if I wasn't participating, I think I would go now.
Oh, please. Yes. If you're not participating, please bring your children. If you're looking for things for your kids to get into, there's a lot of community partners that are going to be there to showcase, programming that they have, especially Base Arizona and Afro Scouts. They have so many great things happening within their programming. And then, again, if you're looking for family services or, supports, we'll have a couple community groups too. So I'm working on my promo reel on that. That's going to highlight who's there so far, and so you guys will be able to see that. Be sure to follow me at the Virtuoso Educator on all social media platforms. I do share a lot on Instagram about this event, but also on Linktree, the Virtuoso Educator, you'll find that event and all of the other things that I'm associated with there. So you guys will be able to get to know about it. And again, in certain, I'm hoping to get some news promotion about that, and then hopefully some newspaper articles posted too, to learn a little bit more before the event.
Awesome. I have some resources too to share you.
Okay, great.
For like newspaper.
Awesome.
Drop your email, how people can reach you, and then any contact information you have, outside of social media.
Yes, absolutely. So my email, I do all the same names. So my email is the Virtuoso, which is V as in Victor, IRTUOSO educator @gmail.com. I am supposedly going to have my website finally put up. That'll be out too, but I will have, maybe we could tag this on the video later. Again, the event, the bit.ly is bit.ly/YEM-CCF 2024. So that is Youth Entrepreneurs Marketplace and Community Collective Fair. You'll be able to find all of that there. But again, at the Virtuoso Educator on YouTube, if you want to watch any of my podcasts and what I do there, Instagram, Facebook, you'll be able to find all my info.
Fantastic. And the links are all there at the bottom, guys. So just make sure you click those links to get in contact with her, and then to go to her platform as well. What else you got going on? Is that...
Well, don't want to let too many cats out of the bag, but no. So just outside of just kind of moving around a little bit in my business, which again is starting to be really great. Just making some changes there and being able to work. So again, with Virtuoso Education Consulting Services, and I'm so sorry, you guys, it's a long name, I know. I am looking into branching out into a nonprofit. I want to really be able to offer more on the educational side to the community without having to charge certain things. So I think nonprofits are really beneficial towards that. And I'm working with some other entities as well as supporting. So through my business, I also do, the administrative and behind the scenes support. So if you are a small business or a nonprofit that needs help with any of your behind the scenes work, meetings, navigating your emails, things like that, I can support you with those, give you some ideas, or consulting support as well. I'm open to doing events with other people if they need an event coordinator. I think the best feedback I get from people, especially in other states that do webinar workshops with me, they're like, yeah, she's the one that you need to talk to help organize. So I have people coming to me to help them with their online webinars and supporting that. And then one of my partners that I'm working with on the Uplifted Education Summit, which we completed, actually my last one was like a couple of days after my surgery in August. But I got like a really good compliments, like, yes, you're awesome with the data. Like you guys like are on fire, like with the educational data and being able to provide that. So just getting a lot of positive input from that angle for people, really recognizing that, hey, yeah, maybe she does know what she's talking about in some of these areas. And it's kind of eye-opening for me too, that people are seeing and for me to help kind of believe in myself that, okay, I am on the right track. And yes, as I mentioned, if we recall way back when we first started, like I had a really hard time like explaining like my business and what I was doing and what I was, and some people are like, oh, just focus here and focus here. No, I want to focus on these three things. It's events, consulting, education. And I've been sticking with that. And it's great to get positive feedback from people, because then it's helping me believe that I am doing things in the right way. So
you're doing great. And if I can give you my testimony, She's done some work with Song Lab Live. She's helped me put together some sponsorship decks, the administrative work. I was pulling my hair out. I had long, luscious locks, and I just ripped them all out because I was getting stressed out about it. And she's like, I can help you with that.
Yeah.
And she's very detail-oriented. It's a beautiful deck. She's very consistent. She followed up with me. We had a couple of meetings. She got the information and put it together. So for whatever your business you have, your nonprofit, your institution, whatever you got going on, she's a great resource for consultations and a great resource for those type of tasks, those type of administrative tasks. So
yeah,
thank you for doing
that. Thank you.
Like,
I appreciate that.
Incredible. I think we've been chatting here for about an hour. So if there's nothing else you have going on, put a bow tie on this.
Yeah, nothing too much right now. Outside of all that other stuff I just said.
Super educational. Every time I speak with you, I learned so much today. And your journey is amazing.
Thank you.
That you're going through, not just like your personal life journey, and then also like your business stuff is incredible. So I know like things are going on a trajectory for you up, and just stay in motion, stay consistent.
Yeah.
I look forward to connecting with you in Single Father Network stuff.
Yes.
So that's going to be a lot of fun.
Yes.
Guys, look out for that too.
Yes.
And that's going to be a good time.
Yeah, with Single Fathers Network. So I guess I can talk about that a little bit. I'm working with Single Fathers Network, which I'm very grateful for that opportunity. And everybody's like, Single Fathers Network, that's a males group, but no, it's more for the educational side, right? And so I was really appreciative for Brother James to bring me on in that capacity, because being recognized for the work that I am capable of doing is really helpful. So we'll be putting on some workshops and webinars with Single Fathers Network that really focuses on fathers engaging with their children's education, but also through their single fatherhood blueprint that they have working. Yeah. So I don't want to give out too much information before we get that posted, but we'll be working through that. And yeah, I think just in general, I've really just been focused in ways that I haven't in the past. So it's great. But again, wouldn't be able to do a lot without your support and those that, are in my network that are supporting me. So I'm really just thankful to have those opportunities. And I'm thankful for the community that actually like believe in me. And it's really interesting. They're like, oh, you're so-and-so. We see you on this. And I'm like, oh, okay. So I'm starting to like, people are putting the pieces together and seeing that I am, somebody that is really genuinely trying to support the community. And so I think that's all I could really ask for as a service provider, and just a servant leader at the end of the day. And just really grateful for that. And I saw a quote the other day. I can't quote it 100%, but it's just like, not giving up on things because you're not seeing the reward as fast as you want to see it. And every day I'm like, okay, like I need to get this done. I need to get this done. But it's like, okay, you're not really racing against other people. You really are just racing yourself. And just, taking time and making things the right way, but also taking risks and really just being consistent. And I'm really trying to do that, but also, like you said, balancing the health and the children and all of those things as a single person in the household. Like you have to be able to balance those types of things, but even in a family unit, you have to be able to balance it. So just keeping consistent, I think, is what's been good for me. And again, in having my circle of support. And so that's been great. So thank you.
What you just said right now is very full circle affirmational for me, because I was thinking about this on my drive today, that I'm very cautious in my business. I don't I do take risk, and I do take advantage of like opportunities. So I do that, but I don't risk relationships.
Yeah.
So relationships to me are always like the wild card.
Yes.
If I don't know how a person's going to react, respond, engage, things like that, those are the high risks to me. So I'm very like kind of wary and observant of my social circle I'm around and where I'm going, because those are the greater risk. But business-wise, I'm very cautious of those things, of who I'm going to bring in that can possibly affect my business, good or bad.
Yes.
And what you just said right there was like full circle.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, we talked about business alignment, right? And like who's in our, like, is it effective for our business alignment, and do we want to be aligned with these people for our business? And unfortunately, in the world of business, you're gonna have your ups and downs. You're questioning on can I trust this person? Can I not? And I will say, and some people might call me crazy, but I've been very like a non-disclosure agreement. I've been on it because we have so much information, but it's also just, I think, a sign of mutual respect. Like, no, we're genuinely doing this work together, and I'm not in it for one reason or another, or having, contracts, because it's important. Even if it's somebody that you're super close with, if you're doing business is business. But relationships, there's multiple types of relationships. And, but again, you're not going to always fit in. But for me, you guys probably don't get this from me, but I get called like cold-hearted a lot, or like this and that. But I'm very like kind of straight and to the point. But I'm also not heavily bothered at this point in my life of not being welcomed or welcomed or wanted to be around certain people. And so if I catch that vibe, like you don't want me in your circle or close to you, I'm not going to take it personal. I can only be, authentic to myself. And, as long as, I try to address, like, did I do something? Like, what happened? And I don't want there to be negative things hanging over us, and address it and move on, regardless if that's moving on together or separating, that's fine. But we're not going to have tension. Exactly. And especially as for me, somebody that's in the community, it's like, I don't do things like I want us to be doing things together. I'm not going to do something. I'll tell you guys, I'm not making no money off of doing community stuff. Like, it's not, this is not an education, as we know, is not the best income stream. And, it's not the best business to be in at all times. But it's like, I'm genuinely doing this because I want things to be better for us. And I'm not going to put myself in front of people or next to people and having to be defensive or having to feel that I'm not wanted. Because I can spend my energy over here and be wanted and be wanting to, for people to actually listen to me and listen to, especially if I'm being hired as, as a consultant. Like, you're going to take my advice and listen to what I have to say and take that into consideration. But, also as a business person, understanding, especially a consultant, is you also need to do what it is that company is asking you to do for them. And sometimes that vision may not align. And so I think for me, moving intentionally on that business alignment, there is values that have to go into place, right? Because you want to be able to work with these people efficiently and effectively. But if there's certain values that it's like, oh, I don't know if that's going to work for me. Like, you got to separate yourself sometimes. And
Yo, people are separating right now from them Diddy parties. What's another podcast?
Yeah, that's a whole nother, oh my gosh. Yeah, we won't get into that one. I was never at one of those. Good thing I'm not famous. I don't think I ever would. That's so funny.
Yo, thank you for coming on. And we'll chop it up again.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Ruben.